Hello, everybody. It's me again. Been a while since I posted anything, but I've been really busy, so I thought, I'd just post another one here just to kind of keep you guys going here. So today I'm going to talk about opportunity, organization, and priorities. So I'm someone who's very kind of scatterbrained most of the time. A lot of the time, I jump from one thing to the next very quickly based on like other priorities or other things that are going on. So one thing that I did is I used a tool called Trello, and I made a board where I had like things that were I started it after and like on hold, low priority, medium priority, first to do, in progress, and then completed. So I put down everything that I wanted to do, both professionally and personally, just like projects or things I wanted to like learn how to do or whatnot. So when I looked at it, I had about 36 things, 36 items. And I was trying to do so many of them all at once. And that was what was kind of overwhelming. And I was kind of killing myself over it. But once I split into this board, I made rules for myself. So I made, I put a lot of things on hold because I'm like, they're nowhere near immediate or absolutely needed. I put everything that it was like, kind of like, nice to have in my low priority. And then the medium priority was like, these are like kind of like in queue. And then my first to dos were like the ones where it's like after I'm done what I'm currently working, like what's in progress, these are like what I need to get done next. And then I can start chipping away at the medium stuff. And then the in progress, I made a rule that I only allow myself to have 4 things in there at once. Because the reason I chose 4 was some of them, and how I split up my 4 was very interesting too. So I organized it by how urgent it was, how much of a time investment it was, and like what benefit I would get, immediate win do I get out of it. So so that really helped me, and honestly, ever since, like I've been very focused on what I'm working towards, and it has honestly changed my life. So it's very easy to sensory overload, especially with the amount of information that's out there these days. The ease of learning everything and all the free resources that are out there. I know I've preached those a lot before, but that having a good organization plan like that, it helps so much. And I mean, if you want to go a step further, I know what some people do is they actually set like almost like a time budget. So what they do is they say like, okay, well, out of my 4 things, I want to dedicate X amount of hours to this, X amount of hours to this, X amount of hours to this. And they essentially make sure they hit that every single week. It's like, it's kind of not, it's a little bit similar, but it's kind of like a buddy, a really good friend of mine. His name's Morgan. When he was working to become a developer, he said, like, well, I'm not going to school, but if they sink 40 hours into school every week, I should probably try to squeeze as much of like as almost as many hours as that, in a week of just dedicating myself to learning. And I mean, honestly, it worked really well for him. It took time, obviously, but he proved himself, and honestly, like, he's one of the best developers I know. And yeah, so shout out to you, Morgan. So yeah, so organization is very key. I'd say the other thing too that kind of goes hand in hand is, like the opportunity of learning, or like what those lead to. So, Rick, right now, I'm doing some QA stuff right now, and like my 3 to 5 year goal is to become a developer. And you know, for me, it's like I know that my job directly doesn't lead there. I know that there are some transferable skills for sure, especially when it comes to development. But like I know the learning opportunities of like learning a programming language. I know like learning like coding best practices. I know that's not going to come with my job. So the important thing to know is like looking at opportunities and seeing where you can get it, right? Like when I have downtime, if I ever have downtime, I'm learning something. I'm always learning something. So, I take those times where I'm like, okay, well, I want to learn this, to do, whatever it is, like another project or whatever. So I dedicate some time there. I usually come in early to work, and that's usually like, I come in like an hour and a half, 2 hours early sometimes. And I mean, that's what I use my time for. I sit here and I learn. I'm very much, with everything I've learned so far, from, any kind of coding to, analytics and everything else, it's all been self-taught because, I was driven and dedicated to do it. And yeah, like that's just where it kind of came in for me. So taking those learning opportunities when you have it, and like it might be something small, like if you are, in your job and you're working towards, like, say, another department, even if it's something as simple as like, you end up, like, you work with that department, say, and you have to go over and like, ask them for something or whatever. Just simply asking them, like, how do you do this? Or like, what do you consider? Getting them to show you how they do things, like those are small, easy opportunities. I'm a firm believer in anytime I ask someone a question, I make sure I get a why behind it. I don't just want, like, I appreciate them just giving me an answer, but I like to know the why, because I find the why is what really hits it home for you. And, for me, it's, it's like, I've always taken those opportunities and it's never really steered me wrong. So, for me right now, I have, like, for my bigger learning things, like my 4 things like that, I'm developing a Udemy course for analytics because I feel like I've gotten fairly proficient in it, and I use it on a day-to-day basis. One of them's like learning React. I'm trying to remember what the other 2 are. See, that's how good they are. I don't even remember them offhand, but yeah, so it's like, me doing those, right? Like, they don't come just organically, because like I do work with developers, which is awesome. And, they do teach me some things, which is absolutely amazing. And they're like, I love all those guys that have helped me along the way. And, it's about taking that and just translating it, right? Like, everything is translatable in some capacity, right? So like, I used to use a good example of like, when I would learn something that was completely non-technical, I would compare it to something technical to get that transitional, like almost like translational knowledge, I guess. So it was really good for me because, those concepts to me were the same, even though they probably weren't. But to me, it helped me understand it better, right? So I think that's another really good thing in terms of learning, is that, find something that makes sense to you to kind of get that relational piece there, and that'll help you understand it a million times better. But yeah, I think I've talked enough for today. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe, all that fun jazz. And yeah, I'll hopefully be making some more videos, in the next little bit. Like I said, it's been very, very busy lately, but yeah, see you guys next time.